Ooh. Hey guys, we'll get started real quick. We'll get started in a little bit. We're just doing some stuff. Oh, we're better now. Okay, we are all good. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the newest episode of the 2021 NFL Mock Draft. Yes, if you see the title today, it's going to be the Bengals and the Dolphins. We had a video planned up yesterday. Usually I do a video every day, but yesterday we were doing the tour of the Raider Stadium. So, as you can imagine, we did not have enough time to do the video. So, today we're going to do the Bengals and the Dolphins. So, again, thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the kind words. Everything is going good. Everything is going great. It's just like I said yesterday, we were supposed to do the Bengals. It didn't happen that way. We did the tour, and with a lot of moving parts going around, we just didn't have enough time. So today, we're going to do two teams, one video. So here we go. Let's start off with the Bengals. So the Bengals, they ended up the season 4-11 with one tie. Really, they had the number one pick last year, so there wasn't going to be much of an improvement. And before we get into that, let's recap their 2020 draft. Honestly, they had a solid draft. Not because they drafted Joe Burrow, but the players afterwards is who they drafted. And I think it is important to know that, it's pretty good. Like, let's see here. Oops, sorry about that. Wrong pick. But the 2020 draft class, it was pretty good. It was exactly what this team needed. Now, it didn't translate to wins. However, it did translate to there is a bright future in the city of Cincinnati. Do we have a question already?
So I'll just do a recap of the first three picks.
Of who? The Bengals? I guess so. Oh, of the videos, yes. So actually, we did four already. So the first one, obviously, was Trevor Lawrence. The second one was Jamar Chase. The third one was Zach Wilson. Yesterday, or what was it? Monday. Monday was Micah Parsons. So here we are. So these are now picks 5 and 6. So before we get to the picks, let's do the draft. So obviously, number one last year, the Bengals had the number one pick. They took Joe Burrow, and it's exactly what everybody thought it was going to be. He's going to be a solid, good quarterback for a really long time. His season was cut short due to an injury. It did suck. His offensive line did not hold up, but he did prove that he does belong in the NFL. He finished the year with 2,068, 688 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and that's in 10 games. So he did really well. The best pick out of all of them was their second rounder, T. Higgins, the wide receiver out of Clemson. Now, this guy, I had first round grades on him. He fell to the second, and by the blessings, he is going to be him and Tyler Boyd with the future of the wide receiver core for Cincinnati. He finished with 908 yards and 6 touchdowns. He really led up the league this year, and for a rookie, that was pretty impressive of him. It wasn't Justin Jefferson impressive, but with his size and his hand coordination and catch radius, he's going to be a really good wide receiver in the NFL really, really soon. And then third and fourth round picks, they went back-to-back linebackers, Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis-Gaithers, two contributors to the team. Logan Wilson with 2 interceptions, 3 pass deflections, and 1 sack. And Davis-Gaither, 1 interception, 3 pass deflections, and 1 sack. They were key contributors to special teams, but they were also good depth pieces on certain packages on that defense. So it was getting there. They were really starting to pick it up, and they were starting to get the system. So now with another full off season and maybe a full training camp and preseason, maybe they'll finally get the ball rolling there. 5th round, Khalid Kareem, really not much. Sometimes he was inactive. Sometimes he did play. He really didn't see the field that much. But for a 5th rounder to kind of have like a 50-50 year, I mean, you can't ask much for that. Hakeem Denij, the offensive tackle out of Kansas, mostly inactive of the year. They couldn't keep every offensive lineman, obviously, so that's what happened. And then Marcus Bailey, the linebacker from Purdue, I believe he made practice squad, and that was kind of it. But other than that, their first 4 picks, they really found some key players, starters, and contributors to the team. It didn't translate to wins, as I mentioned earlier. They did end up being 4-11-1. Didn't really translate to wins, but you could see that the talent's there. You can see that the hope is there in Cincinnati. They're finally got a. It finally feels like they finally picked the right guy to take a quarterback. Carson Palmer was supposed to be the guy, didn't happen. Andy Dalton took over. It just didn't work out the way they wanted to, and it looks like Joe Burrow is now the real deal up in Cincinnati. Do we have another question or no? Okay. So overall, 29th offense and 22nd on defense. It's what you're going to expect from a first-year head coach, rookie quarterback combo. So there's going to be some ups. There's going to be a lot of downs. Now you're just trying to look at the positive things of it. As I mentioned, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, those are the triplets up in Cincinnati now. So they got some building special up there, and it's going to be very amazing. On the defensive side, it is what it is. It's going to be a rebuild, especially now that the Cincinnati Bengals defense, which was a strength not that long ago, is now going to be an adjustment. Ray Malaluga's gone. Carl Lawson, they lost to him in free agency. Geno Atkins is at the end of it, and I might believe he might have already been released. So really, it's just rebuild time in Cincinnati defensively. Offensively, they still got a lot of work to do, but I think they got the pieces in play to kind of make it a little bit better. Defensively, now they have to get just better as the time goes on. But for a bunch of players that are no names, on the defensive side of the ball, I think they're going to really improve as the time goes on. So they ended up going 4-11-1. Their one tie was the Eagles, which is kind of weird, but it happens. It happens. And that was just kind of their season. Just basically for the Bengals, it was just individual evaluation. Who's going to move forward with the team? Who's going to get let go? Obviously, the veterans, some of the older veterans are going to get let go, and some of these younger ones are going to take over. But I do believe Cincinnati has something. Moving on to free agency, however, they did lose a lot. They did lose a lot of key free agents, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Carl Lawson, veteran leader, he's now moving on to the Jets. William Jackson, he's gone. AJ Green, John Ross, they're both now leaving Cincinnati. AJ Green now joining Arizona. John Ross is now in with the Giants, so that's different. Keithan Carter is now with the Jets. Randy Bullock's gone, and Mackenzie Alexander is now gone as well. So they lost some key players, and it's going to be tough. Obviously, AJ Green was a non-factor in Cincinnati, not anymore. It was tough to see him go out in Cincinnati, but I'm sure he'll pick it up in Arizona. I'm sure once he gets healthy, he'll pick it up in Arizona, especially now knowing that he's not the number one guy. He doesn't have that pressure. He can just be him. Carl Lawson, again, another veteran. He's gone now to the Jets, and that's just a bummer at this point. That's a bummer for him. John Ross, it never really picked up for him. For the Cincinnati Bengals, they drafted him 9th overall just a few seasons ago, but just injuries after injury after injury, you can only give a guy so much chances that eventually availability has to be key in the NFL. He just was not on the field enough. And who else do we have? Randy Bullock, longtime punter specialist. That's going to be a big void as well. When you have veterans leave, it kind of hurts the repertoire of the team. But I think they could bounce back from this. But they did do some nice gainings in free agency as well. Like I mentioned, they lost Carl Lawson while they signed Trey Hendrickson from the Saints, who really picked it up last year for New Orleans. It was a key factor of that Saints defense. Mike Hilton, they signed him from Pittsburgh. He's a good corner, really good corner. And I think he's going to bring some experience. They lost William Jackson. They bring in Hilton. They also bring in Chidobe Awuzie from Dallas. I know it's a very hard name, and I'm surprised I even got it off myself. But it wasn't working out in Dallas. Maybe he can find some new grounding here. They did get some Joe Burrow, some offensive line help, as we said in the top of the video. Offensive line protection was not there for Joe Burrow. He was one of the most hit quarterbacks in the NFL, and eventually he's a young kid, and he can take the hits. That's the theory. But like everything else, everything just breaks eventually. And it was just his time. His offensive line did him no favors, and it really just showed every single week all the hits he was taking, and then that's what led to his injury. But they bring in a good veteran, Riley Reef. I know he's not as good as he once was at the left tackle position, but maybe they could put him as a right tackle. Maybe they could put him inside guard. He's got the veteran presence. He knows what it takes to win in the NFL. I wouldn't doubt it. This is a great pickup, especially if it's just a one-year deal. It's a high risk, high reward type of player that they picked up in free agency. And lastly, Larry Ujunubi, a defensive lineman. He was on the streets. They signed him up. He had some flashes. And it's just now they got to try to get back into it, and we'll see what happens. And do we have something or no? No? Okay. Because you got a weird look right now. I'm like, oh. But other than that, I mean, overall for Zach Taylor and the Bengals, it wasn't a bad year. It was just you can't do much after. You can't have such high expectations after you draft number 1 overall and expect in one draft playoff time. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. They got some good individuals. Now they have to just keep building it as a team. They just have to keep building this roster, drafting wise, keep drafting very well, and hopefully their free agents are hits, because we've seen it many times. They sign a free agent somewhere else, doesn't work out. Now they just have to make sure that the free agents that they did sign does help them. And I like what Zach Taylor is doing. He's bringing a good grit to this team. I think they're going to bring something to the table. I don't think they're going to be playoff caliber next year, especially due to the fact that Cleveland's getting better. Baltimore is Baltimore, and you never know with the Steelers. So they're still kind of like on the bottom looking up, but I still think that they're going to improve, and they're going to compete even better this year than they did last year. So I think with all that being said, Zach Taylor's a good coach. They got their franchise quarterback. What do you do? Do you keep building on that defense with all this veteran presence leaving? Or do you try to everything in your power to build around your franchise quarterback? As we mentioned in the second episode when my brother came onto the show talking about the Jets. There's franchises, there's players that come into the league and they do no favors for themselves to help the franchise. For example, Johnny Manziel did no favors. No favors. Jamarcus Russell did no favors. Brady Quinn, no favors for him helping the franchise. Then there's other cases, like a Sam Darnold, where the franchise does no favors to the players. Sam Darnold, Sam Bradford, Josh Rosen, they did no favors to them to help them on. So really, Cincinnati does have to be smart about this. And I think we all know where they're going to go. So I think it's no secret here. So we're going to get our first pick in. So here we go. Cincinnati, your pick is in. All right. So here we go. With the 5th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Penei Sewell, offensive tackle, Oregon. Look, this guy was meant to play football. He was meant to be an offensive lineman. 6'6", 325 pounds. He was just meant to be a left tackle in the NFL. Kind of played a little bit in his freshman year, got the full start as his sophomore, and he exploded onto the scene. He got the Outland Trophy in 2019, best lineman in the country. The Morris Trophy in 2019, best interior lineman in the country. So now you know he could play inside, outside. He was a unanimous All-American in 2019. Sorry, we're not that far into the future. And he was first team All Pac-12. Also, here's a little known fact. He actually won. Well, let me repeat that. Him and Tua, the co-recipients, they were co-recipients of the Polynesian College Football Player of the Year Award in 2019. So that's a pretty high honor, especially for his culture and, that culture and how it relates to football. That's one of the highest honors you can receive in that culture when it comes to sports. That's like their Heisman. And him and Tua, they were co-recipients. They won, they tied, and it was just that's when you know that you deserve it. And what's more forthcoming, he actually received second place votes for the Heisman in 2019 as well. So that was the first time a lineman ever received Heisman. For the people that don't know, the Heisman is the award in college football that you are the best player in college football. So to receive second place votes out of all positions, and they were giving you second place votes, meaning you were the second best player in the nation, that speaks volume. Now I understand there's a few concerns. One, there is a little bit of an injury there. It happens. He plays a tough position. It's heavy on the knees, it's heavy on the legs. But when he's out there, he has shown it that he can be one of the best blockers in this draft and possibly in the NFL. He's NFL ready. If I were to give him a comparison right now, I'm going to give him to the counterpart that just signed a huge extension today, Colton Miller. The reason I bring him up, they're saying the same things about him that they were saying about Colton Miller so many years ago when he got drafted 15th overall to the, then Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas. So the first knock on him that everybody's saying, injury. Colton Miller had the same thing. It's looking good now. It's looking good now. Colton Miller just got an extension today. And as of today, according to Pro Football Focus, he is in the top 10 of offensive linemen. So it worked out for him. Same thing with him. I think he's going to be an impactful player day one. He's going to play right away. He's starting, and he's going to be the future guy. Number two, well, he played in the Pac-12. There's really not a lot of, elite pass rushers in the Pac-12. Well, that's what they said about Colton Miller a few years ago. Well, he didn't really play against anybody. So now he's top 10 in the NFL. He's a top 10 lineman in the NFL. The same thing that was said about Anthony Barr all those years ago in 2014 when he came out of college. Well, there was really basically, if you don't play in the SEC, you're not worth a damn. That's what these experts are telling you from ESPN, Fox Sports. If you don't play in the SEC or the ACC, you're not worth a damn. Or if you're not playing for a traditional powerhouse like Notre Dame and so many others. If you're in the Pac-12 or the Sun Belt or the Big 12, you're a nobody. But I'm different because I like to look at it across the board. He's ready to play day one. Penny Sewell's ready to play day one. He's the same comp, and I'm going to give him the same comp as Trent Brown. I think that's his highest ceiling. He's not as athletic as Colton Miller, but I think he's more polished today than when Colton Miller came out in the draft just a few seasons ago. I think he's better. If they were both to come out in the draft today, Penny is the more polished wide receiver ready to play today. So he's number one. He's my first offensive lineman. And again, we go back to it. The reason this pick has to be offensive lineman for the Bengals, you got to protect Joe Burrow. I know you drafted Jonah Williams a couple seasons ago. It hasn't worked out. Move him to right. Move Riley inside. Do whatever you can to make Jonah. You drafted him. Figure out where he can play because obviously it's not working out for left tackle for the guy. I would too. You can put Penny in there, Riley in at left, put Jonah Williams at the right tackle. You just have to worry about the center and the right guard down the road. You can always draft more linemen in the 4th, 5th round. That could be starters day one. It's just going to take a little bit of polish time. But as of right now, you got to go for Swell out of Oregon. I know he opted out. I know he's missed football for a year. So I know that's a key thing that a lot of experts are kind of trying to be like, well, he opted out because of whatever reason they opted out. But that shouldn't take away from the fact from the last time we saw him play. And from the last time we saw him play, he's a pretty good offensive lineman. Now, this could have gone either way. It could have gone Rashawn Slater or Penny. But I think right now, Swell is a perfect fit for the Cincinnati Bengals than Slater is for the Bengals, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's my first pick. I say the Bengals go for Swell. They protect Joe Burrow. Protect your real estate. And your real estate is Joe Burrow. Get all the protection you can. Get all the fencing you can. Get all the guarded gates you can. Get everything you can to protect Joe Burrow. So that way him, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, and all these other guys can start meshing together and creating a more explosive offense in the NFL. Like I said, I don't expect playoffs, but if they go so well, and I think their protection holds up, they will look more competitive this upcoming year than they did last year. So other than that, that is it for the Bengals side. We're going to look at any comments that we might have received. We do have one here, right here. Let's see here. What do we got? Why Swell over Slater? Yes, I just mentioned that earlier. I think right now Swell is better slated system-wise. Swell is more of a man type of blocker, man, power scheme blocker than everything. Slater's more of a wide zone type of deal. Not saying that he can't play left tackle, but I think he's more of a zone scheme fit. And I know Cincinnati with Joe Mixon, all these guys, they want to go in your face attitude, especially with Zach Taylor. That's how he ran his offenses as a coordinator and everything. It was more in your face attitude. And I think that's why Sewell fits more here than Slater or Darisaw right now. Because Darisaw, great value. I just don't know where he falls. Like I said, out of all three of them, Sewell's ready to play today for Cincinnati. So that's why I'm taking Sewell over Slater. So other than that, I think that was it. Correct? We are good. All right. As I mentioned, guys, so this is part 2 of the video now. So we got the Dolphins up on the clock now. So this was year 2 of Brian Flores. A lot of exciting things for Brian. His first year really didn't go that well. This was second year. They finished 10-6. But before we get to their season, let's recap their 2020 draft picks. So with the first, they had 3 first rounders. So that was an instant. Miami right now is the king of the boards right now. They can control the draft however they want right now. They had 3 last year. They have 2 this year. They got the 2 after that, and 2. They have a lot of first rounders. They can control any draft at any moment. They're going to be players draft night. Rounds 1 through 7, they're going to own the draft because they have the picks. They have the power to be, you know what? I prefer this over that. Or you know what? I want this player. I can move up to go get him because that's the only thing we need. So let's go through their 2020 draft, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. So with the 5th pick in the first round, they took Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback out of Alabama. I know it wasn't impressive, but it was kind of a weird year for them. They started with Fitzpatrick, and then they switched him off to Tua. He ended up having a 6-3 record. So not a lot of people want to talk about that because he didn't put up the big numbers. He didn't do that. A lot of people are even, there's some experts out there that are even saying, just move on from him. He's not the answer. Just move on until you hit the quarterback and you got the draft picks to do it. A lot of people got to remember he was hurt. He did have that shoulder injury coming into the draft. That wasn't a secret. Remember, the plan was for the Dolphins to get Tua. They stuck to their gut. They're going to stick with Tua. Now, the whole switch thing, I was kind of surprised. I did not expect Tua to play this year. I did not expect him to take the field at all. I thought they were going to redshirt him, let him learn behind Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's a really good mentor, really good teacher, and just a really cool teammate. But he did it, 6-3 record. Now, was that part of thanks to his defense? Maybe, but he had to do some of it too. So 6-3, that's a pretty good start for his first 9 games. 18th pick, they went Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC. I thought that was a good pickup. A little high, in my opinion. I thought they were going to go with somebody else, but he's looking good in Miami. He's looking good in Miami, and that was the replacement for Laremy Tunsil, and now they got the protection for Tua. The 30th pick, now this one I might mess up on, so let's give this a shot. 30th pick, they got Noah Igbonagi, yeah, from Auburn. He was the corner out of Auburn. We kind of knew he wasn't going to get a lot of playing time because due to Byron Jones being there, Xavier Howard being one of the better corners in the league. So he was only going to get slot to 4th corner time. And he's got a lot to improve, and that's why I think it was a good pick at that time to kind of take him at 30. He was kind of like a day 2 type of player, but they figured, well, they had him. Apparently, they had him higher than other corners in that draft. They took him at 30, and they knew he wasn't going to play right away due to Byron Jones and Xavier Howard being there. that they can redshirt him, get him acclimated into the system, and then he'll work his way up. So I thought that was a good pick. Now let's just see what happens in year 2 for the kid. Second round pick 39, just 9 picks later, Robert Hunt, the guard out of Louisiana Lafayette. The Dolphins are doing everything they can to protect Tua. That's what I'm talking about. The Jets should be doing what the Miami Dolphins are doing to Tua. Draft a young quarterback, get the protection right away. You got to do it. You got to do it. It's very rare nowadays where a rookie quarterback can just come in and light it up. And I get it. Yeah, Justin Herbert won Offensive Rookie of the Year. I get it. It's all fun games, but let's see what happens after year 2, year 3. There's not a lot of Andrew Lucks. There's not a lot of Aaron Rodgers. There's not a lot of Patrick Mahomes. There's not a lot of these guys that, Lamar Jacksons and the Bradys and all these guys that can start so early in their career and just take off. Just take off and just be franchise QBs right away. Some need a little bit of time. There's quarterbacks out there that have been in the league for quite a while, and they still haven't even gotten a playoff win. That's tough. That's tough. But it's also due to the franchises knowing we got a special talent. Let's get him all the help we can get him. And what do? Their 2 out of the first 4 picks for the Dolphins, offensive linemen right away. Starters, just like that. With the 56th pick, they took Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle. I thought that was kind of interesting, seeing that how they run a 3-4. I really didn't know where they were going to put him. Were they going to put him as a nose? Or were they going to put him as a weak defensive end? It was kind of an interesting pick for me. I didn't really understand that one. But, if anybody can probably get the talent out of him, it's Brian Flores. I think they're going to get more out of him this year than they did last year. With their 70th pick, they took Brandon Jones, the safety out of Texas. Again, secondary was already kind of set. Now we'll see what happens in year 2 for him. With the 111th pick, they took another guard, Solomon Kinley, who had a lot of talent, who had a lot of higher grades in the 4th round. There were some years 2nd, 3rd. So to get him in the 4th, that was pretty good. And again, investment. The Dolphins are doing everything in their power to make sure that Tua has every opportunity to succeed in the NFL. If he doesn't, then that's on him. Because at that point, we can go back and say, well, the Dolphins gave him everything. Now, obviously, some of these linemen are not going to pan out. But you can always go back and be like, well, he wasn't the best, he wasn't the worst. But the franchise did everything in their power to make sure Tua is going to succeed real early in his career. 5th round, pick 154, Jason Strobridge, defensive end out of North Carolina, mostly special teams and kind of a contributor / depth type of player. Now, this was the one where I was kind of shocked that he lasted into the 5th round. Just 10 picks later, 164, Curtis Weaver, defensive end out of Boise State. If you saw my videos last year, I was really high on him. I kind of had a second day, 3rd round pick on him to where I'm really shocked that he fell to the 5th. So I don't know if that was due to bad interviews, just poor performance at his pro day, or just bad interviews with the teams that made him kind of drop a little bit. And it showed. He just wasn't there. Sometimes inactive, some special teams contributor, didn't even dress up sometimes. I don't know if it's attitude problems or what, but the talent of Boise State is not translating to the NFL. It is his first year, though, and it was a weird year for rookies last year. No training camp, or some training camp, preseason, no preseason. So it was weird. So the rookies are going to come in next year, and this is going to be their first experience preseason in the full shebang. So we'll see. 6th round pick 185, we got Blake Ferguson, the center out of LSU. Again, just another depth. And he can play long snapper too. That's a very important thing. So it was more for depth purposes. And 7th round, 246, Malcolm Perry, wide receiver out of Navy. Now, if you thought that was a lot, wait till this year's draft. The Miami Dolphins are going to have the same number, if not more. They're going to have the same number of picks, if not more, in this year's draft. Now, they can always trade away. They can always trade back. They can always trade up. Does not matter. The Dolphins, as I mentioned earlier, control the board. They control everything in this draft. They're going to control everything in the next 3 drafts because they have the picks, the cap space, and the draft capital to do it. So again, they went 10-6. They missed the playoffs by a game. No one's fault. It's just that's the way it worked this year. That's just the way it was. They had a good year. It just didn't pan out the way they wanted to. I personally believe they should have stuck with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Maybe they could have gotten another win or two to kind of get them into at least the wild card, because they were the 15th best offense. So it's really not. It's middle of the pack, but their defense was 6. And I thought, man, if they just had a little bit of an offense, who knows? Who knows what could have happened? And I think Brian Flores is building a good foundation there. I think last year I talked about how the players in their first year believed in him. The second year, it showed. Now they have to put it together as far as wins and get into the playoffs, whether it's division or wild card. It's going to be a little bit more challenging because they did lose some good veterans. Davion Goodchow, he's going to New England. Kyle Van Noy, he was the prize free agent last year. He got cut. He's now heading back to New England. Ryan Fitzpatrick is now heading to Washington. So there goes the mentor. But it's okay. They did re-sign a quarterback, a veteran quarterback. They got Jacoby Brissett to kind of back him up and to kind of be there as a big brother. The punter, Matt Hack, he is now heading to Buffalo. Ted Karras, he's now heading to New England. Gruger Harris heading to Houston. The linebacker, Julian Davenport, is now heading to Indy. And Matt Breida is now heading to Buffalo. And free agency kind of was unfair to Miami. They feel like they have the pieces and the capital, so they didn't really spend that much. But they got some good names. I did mention Jacoby Brissett. They also got Will Fuller, so now they get to pair him up with Devontae Parker on each side. As mentioned in a couple videos ago, Cynthia Carter, he's coming in to play tight end. Adam Butler, the defensive tackle from New England, he's coming. And Justin Coleman, the corner from Detroit, is going to come over now. So now there's the secondary set, the linemen are set, the quarterback situation is set. So the Dolphins are a team who are ready to compete now, but we really don't know this is going to be an interesting pick either way. And I think in most of the drafts, I think Jamar Chase would be the obvious choice here. Get the best wide receiver and get Tua another wide receiver toy. However, in this mock draft that I've done, Jamar Chase has already gone number 2. So now really, what do the Dolphins do? I think if Micah Parsons was still there, I think they take Micah Parsons at 6. You're going to hear me say a lot of that because in my mock draft, Micah Parsons gone at 4. And a lot of other mock drafts at ESPN, they have 4 straight quarterbacks. I find that kind of stupid, but that's just the way it could go. And if it really does happen that way, then God bless them. And hopefully these players keep falling to us, because if I'm teams after 5, I'm begging those 4 to draft quarterbacks like, oh, please do it, because that means more talent's going to fall to us. And then we'll have more decisions, which will make my job even easier. That's my opinion, though. So we'll see. I hope they don't choose quarterbacks, but we'll see. Quarterbacks is like the key to everything now, and everything in general. So, as I mentioned, 15th best offense, 6th best defense. So where do you go? If Mika's there, I say get yourself Micah Parsons, make your defense just a little better. If Jamar Chase is there, get him, get you a true number 1. So now you got Jamar, Devontae, Will, and you're good. You can always get a running back later, and there's no running back worth taking at pick number 6. And if that's the case at this point, they're both gone. So in my mock draft, I kind of went a different route. It's a very unconventional route, but I think people are going to love this pick, and I hope people love this pick. So here we go. Music, please. All right, so here we go, guys, with the 6th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The Miami Dolphins select Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. I know, very unconventional. Why would you draft a tight end so early? why would you do this? Why would you do that? Well, if you're the Dolphins, you can afford to take a tight end with pick number 6. Let me explain. You're going to have a bunch of multiple picks for the next few years. You're going to have draft capital. You're going to have cap capital. You can always get another lineman in the second and the third round. You can always get a running back later. Why tight end? Well, Mike Gesicki's good. I don't know if he's Kyle Pitts good, but now you put these two together. Now you got Devontae, Will Fuller, Mike, and Kyle Pitts. Now you're giving Tua options. Kyle Pitts is a freakish tight end, 6'6", 239 pounds. He's a tight end built like a wide receiver. He won the John Mackey Award in 2020, unanimous All-American in 2020, and two-time All-SEC 2019-2020. His freshman year, not a lot to go off. 3 receptions, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. But every catch was 24 yards per catch. In 2019, 54 receptions, 649 yards, 5 touchdowns. That was in 13 games. Pretty good jump. 2020, 43 receptions, 770 yards, 12 touchdowns, and that was in 8 games. So you see what I'm saying? He just improves. What this tells me, yeah, the receptions weren't there, but his route running and his ability to get open, he improved on that. And that's why he's one of the better tight ends to come out in recent drafts. And that was just in 8 games. He did all that in 8 games, and that's impressive. It'd be kind of cool to see what he can do now in 17 games. His pro day was today, which is pretty good. It was freakishly good. This was as good as you can get for a tight end. Broad jump, 10.9, almost 11 inches. That was higher than Micah Parsons. His vertical, 33.5. That's pretty tall for a tight end. In his 40-yard dash, 4.44. He's a tight end in a wide receiver body. You could put him at the tight end slot, mismatch for linebacker safety. You put him in the slot, well, now he's a mismatch for tiny corners and the safeties up top. If you put him outside, he can play wide receiver too. He has the body to be a wide receiver. His comparison right now, the way I see it, athleticism, speed, and his ability to get open, I say his highest ceiling is Darren Waller. It's exactly the same thing, just without the off-the-field issues when he was coming off of Georgia Tech. He's a good kid, good head on his shoulder. He's just a freakishly good athlete. Now, could he be the next Travis Kelce, George Kittle? Maybe. Can he be the next Tony Gonzalez? Sure. But right now, the way I see it, he is a perfect replica of Darren Waller. Height, weight, speed. Can get open, has good catch radius. And the only reason I say take him here, because this is interesting. This is one of the things not a lot of people talk about during pro days. It's not the 40, it's not the vertical, it's not the bench press, it's not the broad jump. It's the other stuff, the weight, the height. This is going to be interesting. He has an 83-inch wingspan. That is longer than any other wide receiver or tight end in the last 20 years. For people that don't know what a wingspan is, put your arms out, room to room, and go 83 inches. From your middle finger all the way there. That's his radius. That is his wingspan. So that you can imagine the contested catches are going to be insane. And he can do it. He's going to be a freakish athlete. And I think Miami, if I'm Miami, and if Micah Parsons is gone, if Jamar Chase is gone, you got to go for Kyle Pitts. You have to. He's the best player available, and he's just another weapon for Kyle Pitts. This dude can be the next. I think his comp right now is, like I said, Darren Waller. I think he can exceed that. And that's saying something because Darren Waller is regarded as one of the better tight ends in the NFL. And I think he can be better than him day one. And this is coming from a Raider fan. It hurts for me to say that, but I think he can be better than that starting day one. So I got Kyle Pitts here at number 6. So as I mentioned, 2 videos. We are done for the night. I do apologize for yesterday, but we took a little tour at the Raider Stadium. It was a lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out, please go check out the pictures. It was a blast. I cannot wait until fans can go in there. You can go in there now, but you got to be a PSL holder. You got to, you got to know somebody that has PSL licenses, season tickets, and buy it off of them. I know they're gonna do. I think when the tour guy said, I think he said summertime it'll be open to the public. Not sure what that really means. It could be May, could be July. I don't know. He just said summertime, so that's the time frame. But if you get a chance, the best $65 I ever spent in my life. For $65, I got to see a lot of cool stuff. We got to step on the field. We got to see the broadcast booth, locker rooms. We got to see the owner's suite. We got to chill inside Mark Davis's suite. Just everything. Yeah, it was everything. And we got free drinks out of it. So it was awesome. Like I said, whether you're a fan of the Raiders or not, take a tour of the stadium. Make a trip to Vegas and try to get a tour of the stadium because holy cow, that was one impressive stadium, and I cannot wait to go in there. I cannot wait to see what it does live, like when it actually is football season. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But other than that, now we're back on track. Tomorrow, who is tomorrow? I believe it's the Panthers. Yep. We got the Carolina Panthers, I believe, are tomorrow. So they're pick number 7. It's going to be interesting to see what the dynamic is for them. I know it's kind of new everything, just new era for the Panthers that they started last year, but they're up next. So hopefully they should be a fun one. I'm excited to talk about, what went right, what went wrong for the Panthers, and hopefully they get back on track because it seems like when the Panthers are winning, it seems like the NFL is a lot more fun when the Panthers are winning because they're kind of like the team that's not supposed to win, but when they are winning, it's kind of fun to see them win because they just look so cool doing it, especially with their uniform colors and everything. It just looks cool, I guess. So hopefully they can get back to that here very soon. So other than that, that is it for here. Comments are good. We got anything over there? No comment? All right. Alrighty, everybody. Well, we will see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow.